There we go.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ask Dr. Renee Show. I am your host, Dr. Renee. This show is here to motivate and inspire you to live the life that you deserve. I'm bringing this show to you to give you stories of people who are just like you, and now they have went on to live the life they deserve. I believe all of us should be happy. Life is short, and this is not a dress rehearsal. So why are you waiting to start living? Live life now. Our guest today is Chrishon Lampley, wine vintner, radio personality, creator of Love Cork Screw wine brand and Lampley cigars. She inspires and motivates me because she had a non-traditional dream and she went after it. Welcome to the show, Chrishon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's jump right into it because you have a very fascinating story. At least I believe so. So where are you from and how did you land in Chicago?
Oh gosh, I'm originally from Donis Grove, so I'm from the west suburbs.
Okay.
I grew up there through high school. My parents retired and moved to Las Vegas, so I lived in Las Vegas for a stint. I did New York for about a year and a half, and then I ended up working my way back to Chicago. So I hit Chicago, I'd say about 97, 98, and I've been here ever since.
Great. Now, in my research, I saw you did some time at FIT. What led you there, and what were you trying to get from that experience?
I did. I'm very blessed to have parents who believe in education and who supported me throughout my education. And I did a 3-in-1 program through Western Illinois where I come out of Western the 4th year with a Bachelor's of Science, but I got to go to FIT my junior year, and I stayed there 2 semesters and through the summer. And yeah, I lived right on 27th and 7th, and I had a ball. So being young and in New York and being able to live right in the city was an amazing thing. So I learned fashion business there, marketing as well. So it was a great time. Great time.
Groovy. That is fun. New York City at some in New York City.
Oh, I just missed that. You slowed down for a second.
So, have you always had this? Have you always had the entrepreneurial spirit?
I have. So I would say probably since I knew it since a very young age. I always wanted to have more.
Did you hear what I said?
No. Okay, I heard the last part about you said have I always had an entrepreneurial spirit? That's what. Okay, that was the last question.
Correct.
Yes. So I've had it. Yeah, I knew I had it since for a young age. It's been something that's hung with me for a while. I always wanted more. I always want to challenge the next person. I always want to challenge a boss to make sure they're making the right decisions. And it was just something that I knew that I had to work for myself. I get it from my father. He was an excellent entrepreneur, and growing up watching him and from everything from construction, taking care of buildings and things. So yeah, I've had it in me for a very long time, very long time.
So what did you study in school? Was it something to do with business and entrepreneurialism, marketing? What was it?
Now this is funny because I came out of school a little while ago. Okay, so I'll tell my age. So actually, I graduated college in '96. So at the time, they did not really focus on a fashion school. So I went to go to school for fashion merchandising and business. So at the time, they had switched over from calling it home economics to family consumer science. So it's so funny because a lot of my studies were in gerontology, a lot of econ courses as well, and a very small amount of fashion courses. So thank goodness when I was in FIT, it was strictly fashion courses and fashion business. But I graduated actually with a Bachelor's of Science in Family Consumer Science with a Associate's in Fashion Business. So how funny is that? Times have changed. Things are a lot different now with programs, but that's what it was back in that day.
So when you had that fashion merchandising, so you wanted to open your own clothing store? I mean, what were you thinking?
Business. So I was always very, very good with numbers. So I knew that I wanted to get in something with numbers. I like the fast pace of the fashion industry. I was not one who want to sit at a desk. That's just not my personality. I have to keep moving. So the fashion business was always very interesting. I was always very eccentric, different. Always had a funny or fun way of dressing. So I knew fashion business was going to allow me to talk to people. I love people. So that was how I got into that.
Very, very different.
I know, right?
Right, but especially the whole consumer business. Now that's different, and that's funny that that's what they called it. But I must ask, so your parents, with a major like that, they didn't look at you like you were crazy? Because I'm sure your parents are probably around the age of my parents, and if I said this is what I'm going to go to school for, they would have been like, "Are you nuts?"
They always knew I was different. They always knew I was different. They always knew I was very into people. I had people skills, and they knew that. They knew that that was something that would pair well with my personality. And they are one, to be older parents, they are very, very very, very good and strong at saying to follow what you want, do what you want to do, follow your dreams. And they always really led me towards that. And they always stuck behind me. I was a good kid. I always got good grades, did what I was supposed to do. So, I definitely had a smart mouth because I was a little older for my time. Definitely my spirit is definitely a more mature spirit than others of my age growing up. But I was all in all a good kid, and they let me do what I want. So, great parents.
Well, that's good to have the support of family. It's very important, and it's good, especially when you do have these ideas, because if your parents aren't supportive, unfortunately, people will tend to lean towards their parents' ideas instead of their own ideas, and we know, unfortunately, people end up living unhappy lives when you live other people's dreams and wishes instead of your own.
Absolutely, and they always sit when they get older and say, I wish I could have, should have, and I think that's probably the worst thing you could possibly do to yourself.
That is exactly right. You do not want to live a life of regret. You want to live the life that you deserve, the life that you were born to live. You do not want to live someone else's dreams. You want to live your own dreams, whatever they are, however crazy they may sound. To you, they're normal, and if you believe, you can achieve. So you started out with an art lounge. Now, how did you come to that idea? Because that's not your traditional, somebody throw up a business. That's just not what they usually throw up.
Right. They're like, oh yeah, let's just start an art gallery. So funny, just kind of transitioning from the fashion industry. It's still part of arts. It's still definitely, I studied a little bit in design as well. So I always had attraction toward art. And when I lived in New York, definitely a more appreciation of it. I definitely would say that I went to more museums, more art shows, more spoken word. So I really got into the arts during that time, because we're talking New York in 93, 94. That was a very, very powerful time with the arts. So in being interested in that, I ended up meeting my business partner at the time, and she wanted to open up an art gallery and bakery. Well, me being the people person, I always wanted to have a lounge or a nightclub, something that I can really socialize with people. So it was literally us combining our ideas and coming up with 3P's Art Lounge. It was that simple. They always say some of the best ideas are the simplest and just come out of nowhere, and that's how 3P's Art Lounge formed. It was an amazing time, Yes,
I have been to 3P's several times, just did not know you.
Right. I know, and it's so funny you say that, because literally everybody I talk to now, it's amazing, and we'll talk, I'm sure, further about it, but just the circles I have now all birthed at 3P's Art Lounge. Because, again, I didn't grow up in Chicago, so it's just amazing to have the friends and support, and some of my best friends of this day, I met at 3P's, and it was a very magical spiritual place.
Yes. So can you please tell the audience what happened on Christmas Day 2010?
Oh, wow. So I was headed to, again, remember I said I grew up in the suburbs, so most of my family live in Wheaton. So I always, on Christmas Day, we celebrate Christmas Day, I always drive out to Wheaton. So I drive down the Eisenhower, which is very close to where the gallery was, right on 16th in Michigan. And something told me, and if religious people may be listening, or very spiritual people, I always say the universe, something led me to go there that day. So I end up arriving, there's no sunlight on it because it's 16th Street. I walk in, and I'm walking into pitch black, but I feel like my feet are walking through water. I lead, head back to where the lights are, because the light switch was in the back, and it doesn't smell good, just something's wrong. As soon as I flip on the light switch, I'm standing in about 2 inches of sewer water. And you can imagine what's in sewer water. So it was shocking. It was sad. It was hurtful. I was angry. And, on Christmas Day, what can you do? You can't call, Roto-Rooters on Christmas Day. Right. So, it was literally just deciding to walk out, shut the door. You know, I called my partner at the time and said, hey, I'll call out the plumbers tomorrow. And ends up, fast forward, it was due to baby wipes. So it was the condo owners from 2 floors above us flushing non-biodegradable baby wipes down the toilet. So literally exploded in our storefront. Store caps were off about a foot each from between the bar and the bathroom area. So I knew from just my construction background with my father that, you know, that was an explosion. And unfortunately, insurance did not cover that. So, you know, as much as you can be insured and covered as much as you can, who can guess baby wipes would be the destruction of a business?
That is just horrible. I cannot even imagine. So take us back to, so after this happens, I mean, what do you think? Do you say, okay, we're going to, you know, clean this up and reopen? What do you know, what's the next step?
It was a funny thing because it was a time where business was slow. It was where, you know, obviously during the winter months, bars and restaurants don't do as well. And it was a funny time because it's like, okay, how do we build back? How do we get back? Because with our insurance not covering this is putting us definitely in a bind. So, you know, it definitely took a toll on our relationship. It was being closed for such a long period of time and not knowing what to do, and plumbers were still trying to solve the problem. I mean, it was so bad that even the alderman came out because it was actually, you know, destroying the entire block just with the smell and the sewerage, and the blockage wasn't just happening to us. You know, it was coming up on the street as well. So, you know, it was this out of it experience of just deciding and making the decision to close. So we closed because we honestly had no choice. We didn't have the money to stay open, didn't have the insurance company backing us, and it was just too much time taken off to even solve the problem. It literally almost took 3 to 4 weeks. That's how bad it was to even get all the sewage out. And our artwork was getting destroyed, the moisture of the water. So we just made the decision and we closed.
So did you, you know, are you one of those people that, okay, this happened and you just move on, or did you like completely have to pause for a moment and just?
I am one, you know, it's so funny. I am one always to find a solution, and I think that's also part of being an entrepreneur and what I've always had growing up as a kid, that regardless if something awful happens in my life or in others, I always have a plan B through Z, I always used to say. And I utilize that to live my life and to try to live my life in the right way. And I say that to say that when it happened, we actually had a private label wine at the time called 3P's Art Wine. And we were selling it, I think, for about $50 a bottle, but it was so cool because one of actually quite famous artists right now, Hebrew Brantley, actually designed one of our labels, and he signed it, and you got a little 8x10 picture as well. So I said, you know, to my partner at the time that we need to distribute. So let's look at the bigger scale now. Unfortunately, our 4 walls are gone for now. But let's use this to grow bigger and better and do something that I know is not done. And I know that African American women are not very, you know, big, and there's a very small percentage of us. So I said, let's do that. But unfortunately, again, it took a toll on our relationship as partners. So it was something where everything just kind of fell apart. So at that point, when I knew that we weren't going to continue going on together, I knew that I needed to find something. So I went dark for a while. I did. I disappeared. You know, I would spend, you know, nights at home crying about it, not knowing what to do next. I was still working a 9 to 5, but I just didn't know what to do.
So you know what they say, every setback is a setup to a comeback.
Yes.
So what was your lesson in this experience? As crazy as it probably seemed at the time, what was your lesson?
That the universe had something bigger and better waiting for me. And now that I look back, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm actually very grateful that happened because what I have now with Love Cork Screw is like no other. Nothing that I could ever have imagined, just things happening and the people I've touched. I could not be touching that many people with a small 4-wall lounge. So I am blessed, I am grateful, and it's amazing where things have headed because of that. So Things do happen for a reason, and I know it's hard for people to think that sometimes, but I swear to you, it eventually all makes sense. And it just hits you. It's nothing that you can just sit and think about and say, oh, yeah. No, it just comes. And it just happens, and things are just thrown at you, and you have no idea why. And then one day, it's almost like that final piece of the puzzle, and it all makes sense. So it will. So people that are struggling out there, trust me, it will all make sense. I promise you.
I totally believe that. There was an episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show, and a young lady stood up and said she got fired, and she, went on and on and on. And Oprah said, "Wait, please go and thank your boss." And she thought she had completely lost it. She said, "No, you just don't know. Something great is about to happen. You need to send him a thank you note and thank him for firing you, because for whatever reason, you were not supposed to be there anymore."
Absolutely, and I feel that way. I feel like one day if I ever run into the couples that lived above the lounge, or a bottle of wine, right, if they're twins, whatever the kids are now, kids are probably much older now. I'm just gonna shake everybody's hand and say, you know what, thank you. And it's so funny though. I never had any anger at them. It was just this, this tense, stress feeling like, why? You just always ask yourself, why? Why me? Why?
Right.
So,
especially when you've paid your insurance, and that's what you have insurance for.
We had $2 million worth of insurance that didn't cover not one thing. So imagine that. Imagine knowing that you're covered in all aspects of the law. We had dram shop. We had 2 liquor licenses. We had everything we were supposed to have. Always paid our bills on time, to know that something just like that could happen and no coverage. No coverage at all. So it was an amazing, stressful, and but things happen for a reason. It was supposed to happen.
Now, how did you find the strength to bounce back?
Wow, I found it from within. Those lonely nights, sitting at home, thinking what next. I would get all these messages and calls and emails saying, Chrishon, where's the next place to go? Where's the next big restaurant? Chrishon, I'm going to such and such's house. I need to bring a bottle of wine. What should I bring? So I was getting that nonstop, and it was almost irritating me because I'm like, leave me alone. Like, do you people understand that I just lost everything? I lost everything. All my money was behind that, everything. So, it was funny, and it got irritating, but I said, you know what, instead of directing it in this, let me just shut off my phone and shut myself off to the world, I decided to actually start writing a blog. And I named the blog Love Cork Screw. And I would tell people some funny things that would happen at 3Ps. I always say I know so much about people that, like a doctor, like stuff that I just would never, ever tell, because I'm sure you get a lot of people in trouble. But just I would tell some of the stories in my love section, and just some funny things that would happen to me in just the dating life that I have. And then cork section, I would talk about the restaurants and wine picks. The screw section, I would just talk about a wild card, something that was happening in pop culture. So I just redirected my energy into writing, which I suck at. Like, I'm terrible at writing. Absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. Give me some numbers, I can crunch it out for you in 2 seconds. But ask me to write a paragraph, I'm like, like what? So it's funny because to be such an awful writer, I had such a following, and people would find it, entertaining, and it was just something fun. So that was kind of my release.
That is funny. We have something in common, because writing is not my thing, but the people that read all the different publications I write for seem to think different. So, yeah, it's
a
great.
funny thing. Yeah.
Right.
I guess it's the thought process of it coming from your heart, and it's coming from you and who you are, that people actually listen and they feel that. So that's, I think, what resonated with a lot of people for me.
Yeah.
It was just the truth. I'm always been very honest, and I was honest about my blogging.
And so you were one of the early bloggers then.
I was. Yeah, because we're talking. Well, I mean, yeah, we're talking 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
So I definitely, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know about any other, blogging events or blogging sites, or didn't know anything about it. It was just something that I would push out on my Facebook page. I created one called Love Cork Screw, and then that was it. I just started writing and posting my restaurant pics and different things like that, and it just turned into a beast. A beast.
So after this, the radio show came, right?
The radio show came. Actually, a great friend that I have and developed from 3P's Art Lounge, Mr. Isaac Paul, ended up being my co-host. We were actually just we were having a function called the Men's Room, which is a function that we were having at a lounge on Randolph at the time. And a young lady came up to us and said that she wanted us to be on her radio show. And I'm like, okay, sure. I've always heard I have a radio voice. I'd love to. Sure, I'll go on there. So I'm like, well, Isaac, I'm not doing it without you. We ended up going on the show, and that ended up from callers saying that that was one of the best shows they've had. And that was just our banter, Isaac and I just going back and forth. Because we will go at it, and it's hilarious and funny, and he gets me laughing, and we just had a great time. Ends up the producer of the show said, Chrishon, you need your own radio show. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, all right, I'll try it. My thought was, what should I name the radio show? Oh, Love Cork Screw. Perfect, right? Exactly how the blog is. The radio show ended up having the same format. And we end up having over 4,000 listeners. And it's just literally on SoundCloud. Right now it's on my website through SoundCloud. But it's just literally Isaac and I talking about love and relationships, talking about current events. I'm talking about wine picks or new restaurants that I like. And it's just fun, and people enjoy it. Something fun to listen to at work. And they're having a good time with it.
And so that's how I became familiar with you. Somebody posted something on Facebook, and it was one of your shows, and I said, oh, I clicked on it, and I was like on the computer working at the time, so I figured, well, I can have this playing in the background, and,
right.
It might be entertaining, whatever.
Right.
And I was just cracking up. I was like, oh, my God, these people are hilarious. What is this? And I mean, it was just random, and it was like that same week I went to the Omega store for the event, and I said, wait a minute. I said to my friend, I go, does she have a radio show? And she's like, no, I don't think so. And I go, oh, okay. I mean, it's not like there's 20 Chrishons in the world.
Right.
I go, well, I thought that was the girl's name, but maybe it wasn't. I was just like, okay. So then when I met you and I asked you, you're like, yes. I go, I listened to your show this week. And you were like, no way.
I remember I was blown because, and yourself, just being in, big events like that and boutiques and things like that, and people coming up to me saying, I listened to your show. I'm like, huh? That's awesome. That is awesome. And yeah, it's funny. It just has this funny underground. It's like with that underground mixtape.
Right, exactly.
That people don't share, but they like secretly love, and that's what it is. And it helps people's work days, go by.
Right.
Fast.
I mean, I just listened, and I was like, this is really, I don't even remember how long it was, because I was just working away, and I'm sitting there just cracking up, and I was like, this is too funny. I mean, they have something here. So then I hear about Tequila Tales. So the Tequila Tales, it came out of the radio show as well then.
Actually, Tequila Tales came out of 3P's Art Lounge. Originally, it was called Wine and Love. So we had an event called Wine and Love, and that would bring people in to drink our wine at the time because we had a private label wine. So that was kind of an event that we'd have. And it kind of it started with just my partner at the time and I talking, and I remember telling her that I used to have parties at my home called Love Jones Parties. And I would invite several couples over. I'd have one stuffed animal sitting there. I'd start with one question. And if I threw you the stuffed animal or the next person throw the stuffed animal, that's the next person that talked. And it ended up being parties that, I would have food, I'd have drinks, but these parties would go on for hours and hours to the point I'm kicking people out. And it was literally from conversation. So that ended up translating to Wine and Love at 3P's, and Isaac said that he wanted to continue. When the gallery was gone, we wanted to continue it. We decided to change the name, and it's now called the Tequila Tales. So it's literally a conversation, and it's amazing. It's taken off.
It is, and it's a funny conversation. I enjoy myself every time I attend. It is hilarious.
It is. That it is.
Never a dull moment. I don't know if it's the alcohol or if it's the personalities of the people that you bring together, but people have no filter.
No filter.
They will say whatever is on their minds, and
that's
I'm
what we call
blown away.
That's what we call it, a conversation with no filter.
Exactly. So that's just too funny. But it's now Tequila Tales used to be one location, but now you're moving around the city of Chicago. And then I know you had one in Atlanta. Are you gonna expand and do any in other cities?
We'll see how it goes. Right now, it is becoming very popular. A lot of people are wanting us to come to different states. So we're going to see how it goes. There's just so many angles to our businesses now. There's so many different big things happening that, obviously we're going to give the people what they want. But at the same time, we're working on developing bigger and better things. So there's some definitely great things happening that people will see soon, and we look forward to giving everybody what they want. So yes, that is the plan.
So now we have Love Cork Screw. So can you please, it's first of all, the way that Love Cork Screw came to me was, you have to come to this event. I said, what is this event? You have to come. I'm like, now, rarely do I go anywhere and have no idea what I'm going to. Not to mention, I had only known Chrishon a couple months at that point. I'm like, really, am I really about to schedule out time in the middle of it was freezing that day too. To go out, and I had on 5-inch plow the parking lot I was in, and it was a mess, but I made it. And all of a sudden, they stop everything and turn on this little movie that was so sexy and so cute.
Yes.
I'm like, what is this? And I go, oh my God, she's created a wine brand? Who does this? From that day on, for the fact that what you did at the Omega store, I thought was so amazing, especially after I found out my mother knew exactly what it was, because I was like, Omega? I've never heard of this watch. And my mother, of course. I'm like, oh, it's a big deal? Okay. Right. I'm like, I know Rolex,
Right.
But, and then when you go to the store, you're like, oh, okay, this is something different. And now this wine brand, I was like, this girl is just different. I love it. It's different. And I'm like, okay. And I'm not even a big, huge drinker, but I like wine. So I was like, okay, this is okay. Let me try this. I tried, So first of all, you have to explain, what is a Vintner? Am I pronouncing it correctly?
So it's a Vintner. So that is actually just a simple term for a winemaker. So I am a winemaker. I'm a Vintner. I'm a wine enthusiast. And I know everything wine. So I'm very excited to, we created 6 bottles, 6 varietals of wine. And so many people laugh at me when I say that out of amazement, because normally people, we'll just create maybe 1, maybe 2, but I have the balls to do 6. So it is an amazing, amazing thing. And it came out of, you never guessed from what? From flag football. That's how Love Cork Screw was created. Can you imagine flag football, right? So I played flag football a few summers ago just to let off stress, right? Because of the whole just coming together with getting things going and what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next, right? So I said, you know what? I've always been a huge football fan. Let me go out and play this co-ed thing. I said, can't be too rough. Okay, little did I know that people are really like playing football, right? So I end up having a gathering at my home for the new teammates. So we end up getting together, and I just clicked with one of my teammates. Her name is Tiffany. I clicked with her. We just started hanging out, and she called me one day. She was taking a road trip with her daughters, and she called me and said, hey, I want to start a wine company. I said, you'd want a what? She's like, I want to start a wine business. So I laughed at her, right? I'm like, what are you talking about? Do you understand? I come from this industry. And she's like, I know. I listen to the radio show. So I said, okay, all right, let's do it. I'm like, I'm going to call your bluff. So in my head, when I hung up the phone, I'm still saying, sure, right? Everybody always says we're going to start a business together, and it never happens. I would say within a month, it was full steam ahead. We were going to vineyards. We were picking out things. I was doing testing. I was creating the labels, working with people and creating ideas, crunching numbers, writing business plans. It was just nonstop for months and months. And next thing you know, Love Cork Screw was created December 2013. So it ended up amazing, coming from owning a gallery to a blog called Love Cork Screw to a radio show, and now 6 varietals of wine. And it's a wine lifestyle brand. It just takes on the meaning of everything that's happened in my life, what I see happening in others' lives, and it's just a fun, whimsical brand that's taking Chicago by storm, and I'm very, very excited and very humbled, and I love touching people, like I said, and it's just been an amazing experience.
So, excuse me. Now, living in Chicago, clearly you don't own a vineyard, right?
Clearly, yes. So I am a private label.
Right. So how do you start a wine brand without owning a vineyard? I mean, you know, I'm extremely simple. All I knew was people with grapes are the ones that made wine. So.
Right. So what it is I guess the easiest way to put it is I would be a chemist in so many terms. So I let the wine makers, the vineyards, the grape growers, I let them do what they're good at. And that's what their expertise lie. But what I do is I partner with them. So I pick what I, think that a consumer would like. So it's more marketing than anything, picking what I think that my taste buds will allow people to enjoy. And it's I've been on point thus far. So a private label is not something that easily can be done. No, I come from the industry. I've been in the industry a while. I've worked in the distribution side, owning 3Ps. In the ownership side. So I've been around the block. I've been around, so it's also developing relationships in these growers, these farmers trusting you. You can't just walk into a place and say, hey, just so you know, I want to sell your wine and I want to put my name on it. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. So it's definitely a lot of research, a lot of hard work, a lot of studying, knowing the industry, knowing the demands of the industry, and working it that way. So it's marketing.
Now, I love the names of the different wines, so can you share that with everyone and explain how you came into these different names?
So, again, being from the industry, I knew why people bought wine. Some may think this is obvious, most don't, but the number one reason why people buy wine is the label. Number two is the taste, the price. Number three is the taste. And I've known that, and it wasn't something that was told to me. You can figure that out when you're in the industry. And from that, I knew that the labels had to be something that were very attractive, something that people remember. And a lot of people who aren't in the wine business, they don't even know how to pronounce Bordeaux or Chenin Blanc or any of the wine, the Pinotage. They don't know. So why not create something that people will know and recognize? Why not make it easy? Why do people have to go to a wine shelf and get confused? So that was my whole motto. And so when I partnered with my designer, we would email each other for hours and hours and hours. 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. in the morning, I would come up with an idea. She would come up with an idea. And it just all of a sudden hit us. It was, this is weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of planning. And I just knew this is where we had to go. I wanted something sexy. I wanted something, love-based, but I wanted it to be fun and whimsical and not too intimidating to people. And that's how Love Cork Screw titles came up. So we have Head Over Heels, which is my Riesling, Hard Knock Life, The Concord, Touch the Sky, which is my Niagara. We have Into Deep, which is my Prosecco. Good Times, Good Friends, which is actually the one I'm drinking now. That would be the Pinot Grigio that I have in my hand. And then one that actually we just sold completely out of the vintage, that's my 2005 California Cabernet Sauvignon. And that one's called We're Moving On Up. So those titles just stick out, and the retailers and restaurants have fallen in love with them, and they're doing great.
Now explain to me, what does it mean you sold out of the vintage?
So that means my 2005 cab is completely gone. It doesn't exist anymore, completely sold out. So I had to actually source 2012. So I was out of town for a while finding that and getting that together. So that one's also going to be a California. So we should be launching the new We're Moving On Up in the next couple of months. So I know people are really, really dying for it. A lot of my retailers, Mariano's, Binny's, WholeFoods now, so a lot of people really, really want that one. So when it hits, it's going to hit the ground running, and I think people really will enjoy my 2012 just as much as my 2005. So I'm very excited to introduce it to people.
Just a reminder, anyone have any questions, please, if you're logged in through Google+, you can click the boxes on the upper right-hand corner. It'll turn into Q&A. Click that, and then a column will drop down on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can enter your questions. It'll say ask a question, type it in, and we'll try and get your question this evening. So you have these 6 varietals, and So you know, like you launched, what was that, December 2013, correct?
Yeah, yes, correct, correct.
So you have these 6 varietals, and then you just hit the pavement, like, I mean, flaming. I think on fire, because all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Love Corkscrew is everywhere, even outside of the city of Chicago. It's all over Illinois.
Correct. Yes, it was crazy. I think it was just time. You know, I had built the brand prior, so people always ask, well, how do I do it? Well, understand that was years of me creating what Love Corkscrew was. So it was years of branding, developing, marketing. So all the friends that I had accumulated from 3Ps and the followers that I accumulated from that, I took from there, and they fell in love with me as Love Corkscrew. And that was literally as the blogger, as the personality, as the radio show. And it wasn't like I just developed Love Corkscrew and it's on fire. No, it's a brand. It's a lifestyle brand. So that took a long time to develop. So by the time the actual product hit the ground running, it was time. It was time. I think just the timing was impeccable. The timing for the wine season was great, and I was just very, very lucky to get some of the retailers that took us in. So yeah, I'm in retail stores, restaurants, and we're just continuously growing, and I look forward to a lot more growth.
So when do you anticipate other states getting a hint of this Love Corkscrew?
Hopefully soon. What a lot of people don't know is distribution for liquor is a lot different than anything else. I always say if I was a chocolate or something else, nuts or things like that, you can distribute across the whole United States. But with liquor, you can't cross state lines without getting a different distributor or a new distributor or a distributor that's licensed throughout several states. So it's a process. So it's almost like I have to interview in each state to find the right distributor or for the distributor to believe in my brand. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of licensing, a lot of negotiating. So I look forward to that happening very soon. But I always need help. I always need people, if they know distributors in different states, to help me out and introduce them to me. But it's definitely a process. But I look forward to it, and we have to grow that way. We have to grow that way.
Definitely, definitely. So last summer, Chrishon had a monumental birthday, and she announces that was the last day of her day job. So I think that is, every entrepreneur that this is their side hustle, that is their dream, is to quit the full-time gig. So what was that experience like?
You know what? It's funny because now I still work. So when I introduced that, I did that to say I was not going to work a job anymore that consumes my time, that consumes when I leave there, I have to still continue working or thinking or worrying about things. I was not going to do that to myself anymore because I knew that when I walk out the door, I want to be full swing Love Corkscrew. And that was a powerful moment for me. And when I was able to leave that specific job, it was just, I can't, out of body experience. Because now I can really, really focus on things I need to do. Now, I always say, now don't get me wrong, I tell entrepreneurs, that doesn't mean, if you have bills to pay and things to do that you just leave because you're going to go full string entrepreneur. No, I say you continue to work. You work. Just like I have to pay a mortgage, I still have bills to pay. The company has to pay itself. The company is not paying me. I want to make sure that money generates back into the company and we grow that way. So I still, work. But let's just say it's a stress-free career that I'm in, and it's amazing what I can do now and how I can function within Love Corkscrew and travel and do what I need to do. It's amazing.
So as if a wine brand wasn't first of all, wait a minute, how many African-American women have done what you've done?
I would say when you do the percentages, there's 0.09% of us. 0.09%. So you have the Mandela sisters. They're in Africa, and they have wine. You definitely have black vineyards. Browns is one of them that's quite large in the Sonoma area. So there's African Americans that are sommeliers and things, but understand when I say that out of the entire industry, 0.09%. That is so small. That is so small. What is different with Love Corkscrew, though, that nobody has done, is we've developed as a wine lifestyle brand. So we have more product, obviously, than just wine. So nobody else has done that. So that's what I'm very proud to have and continue and grow and be something different, something not just wine, but wine related and lifestyle related.
So now she comes up with Lampley cigar brand.
Yeah.
Now tell us more about that.
Wow, that was another just like aha moment. It was at, like you said, my monumental birthday party. So you were definitely one of the attendees there. You saw the several people that I had at that event. My birthday party was packed. And what I wanted to do was something different, right? Everybody always wants to do something different for their birthday. So I wanted to have a cigar bar because I knew a lot of my male friends, and I have a lot of men friends. They love smoking cigars. So I said, I want to give something to them. You know, they may not be such wine drinkers. You know, I still had other spirits there as well. But I wanted something really to cater to men. So I said, let me have a cigar bar. We had food. We had everything there. You saw it. So at the end of the night, the purveyors of the cigars, they come to me and say, Chrishon, we sold like 300-400 cigars. I'm like, you did what? How many? So when they said that to me, they also said, and we want to talk to you. I'm like, you do, don't you?
Wow.
So this was a conversation, negotiation, some development, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do something that was called Love Cork Screw with the cigars. I knew I didn't want to do anything feminine because I had something for the ladies already. I have the wines and the heart with the hearts on it, but I need to do something a little strong. So a friend of mine named Omar, I called him, I texted him, and I said, what should I name this cigar line? Because I want it to be strong cigars. I want them to be really for men. And he's like, well, duh, Chrishon, Lampley. And I just paused. And I'm like, that's it. That's it. My last name. He's like, Chrishon, it sounds like Bentley. Like, it's such a strong name. It's not common. And for me, it was even more than that, because that's obviously, you know, I'm not married. That's my maiden name. And it's my way to you know, really honor my dad, and it's just an amazing way to continue on the line and the name. So when I do get married, you know, it's just a very cool way for me to continue on my father's name. So thus Lampley cigars were created.
That is just, the story is, that's funny. I had no idea. I did see a lot of people smoking cigars at night, but I had no idea.
Men, women, everybody, the
Exactly,
entire night. It was an amazing, beautiful night.
And then when you had the Love Cork Screw anniversary, you know, you guys, that's where the Lampley cigars were actually Lampley cigars.
Right.
And I went and spoke to them to learn, because I don't know anything about cigars, and I know a lot of people that do smoke cigars and know a whole lot about them, so I wanted to learn more. And they were very nice, because there was another friend with me, and she wanted to know too. So we both were asking questions, and they were very friendly and informed us, and you know, I learned a lot. Just like I've learned a lot talking to you about wine, because I don't know a whole lot about that either. But that leads me to the question. We did receive a question. What do you sell that is closest to a Malbec, and are these labels only available in Chicago?
So the labels are available in Illinois. There's a few states that we do ship to right now. So actually, if they go on our website, on lovecorkscrew.com, and they click on Love Cork Screw wine, they're going to get rerouted back to the vineyards that I work with. So they'll be able to ship it to those said states. So I'm not going to name them all because they're different per varietal. But it's pretty easy to find. So as far as closest to a Malbec, that would definitely be the Cabernet Sauvignon that is sold out right now. But again, the 2012 is coming back. So that will be introduced in the next couple of months. So to that person, definitely you will love We're Moving On Up. You will love We're Moving On Up. But please go to our website. If you have any questions, of course, please shoot us an email, and I can answer specific questions to where we do ship, so not a problem.
And we'll make sure we have all her information in the box below the video, as well as she'll tell us before we get off the air.
Great.
Somebody else said, Indulgence knows no, because we can't see all of your lower third, and it's Indulgence knows no boundaries.
Yes, Indulgence knows no boundaries. Sorry about that. That's my tagline, Indulgence knows no boundaries.
So that's great. Did you ever imagine that this would be your life?
You know what? No, and it's so funny. It hit me, I would say about a month or two ago in this very, very odd way. I was at one of the bar lounges that carry our wine, and I was just having a good time with friends, talking, and I was drinking drinking a glass of the Pinot Grigio. And I'm just laughing, having a good time. We're all just hanging out. Everybody's beautiful in their suits, and they were eating sushi and just having a great time. And I kid you not, it was almost like slow motion. I sipped out of the glass, and I looked in the glass, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is mine. This is mine. And I almost started crying because, you get so caught up in going. I'm going nonstop. Like I always say, people have no clue what gets thrown at me nonstop. I thank God I have an assistant now, but still, I get probably on average 60 emails a day, probably about 40 to 50 inbox messages. That's not including phone calls. That's not including additional outside emails from the websites. And I personally answer everything. So everybody knows I'm the one answering everything if my assistant is not. And you get so caught up in having to keep moving non-stop. And just being in this business, I'll tell people, it's not what you think. It's not as sexy as you think it is. This business is very, very difficult. It's not when I announce that I'm in a location and I post it on social media, when you guys see that, and I look at it as a victory, understand that's still my fight because I have to stay in that location. So once I get, in a location, it's not a, whew, I don't have to do anything. No, I have to sell. Because if that doesn't sell, they kick you out. So it's just a non-stop motion. So like I said, it hit me just drinking a glass of Love Corkscrew, and I'm like, wow, I just never thought I would be here at this, and I am beyond grateful, beyond humble, and it's just been amazing for me.
That is wonderful, but I do understand that because you go, especially as an entrepreneur, you go and you go and you go and you go. And you really don't take time to look to see what you've done. You just keep moving.
Right.
And so I recently had my reel done, and I watched the first draft and cried through the whole thing. Couldn't believe it was me. I was like, I did that? I didn't even know. So I understand completely.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
What is a day in the life of Chrishon Lampley like?
Nonstop. I mean, you wouldn't even know right now that as I'm talking to you, my phone is going off right now, and I have it on mute, and it is going off like crazy in life. So a day for me is I am one of those crazy fanatic early risers. So I get up extremely early. I would say on average I wake up around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and this is like clockwork that I wake up that early. And right when I get up, it's almost, like people always say you should meditate, have a moment to yourself and really gather your thoughts.
Yes.
That's when, if any of you out there are friends on my Facebook page where I get these quotes from. So what I do is I read some of the books I have, my father gave me and things like that, and I just sit and think about what I feel for that day. What do I feel at that moment in time? And that's usually what I quote, and that's what I put out there for that day. So what I'm putting out is my energy and what I feel I'm going to accomplish for that day. So it starts off with me just taking a few minutes to myself that early, gather myself together, go to work. During my lunch at work, what I'm doing is answering half of the many emails. So the 1 hour I get, I may be answering 5 out of 50 emails. But I always want to respond to everybody. Anybody knows that if I didn't respond to you, that means I didn't see your email. Otherwise, if I saw it, I always get the thank you so much, Chrishon. I didn't think you were going to respond that quick because I feel that's important. I want to make sure I take. So it's nonstop. To the time I'm get off work, I'm going to a meeting, or I'm going to a tasting, or I'm going to a function. I have to put on more makeup, put on my high heels, and go to the next event. So I'm probably not in bed. I actually go to bed pretty early, but understand because I'm getting up so early. But if it's an event, I could be out till 2 o'clock in the morning and back up again at 5 o'clock. So it's nonstop. I have no downtime. I try to make sure I try to get some on Sundays. So this morning was a little downtime for me. But and I always say, yeah, I wake up late on Sundays. That's at 7 a.m.
We have a couple more questions. What advice do you have for other entrepreneurs?
I love that question, and I answer it. I seem to answer it in the same way all the time. To say that you have to follow your passion. That's different. That's different than a hustler. I always say a hustler is different than an entrepreneur. A hustler is pretty good at a lot of things, right? And they make it work. They make it work, and some are excellent at it. But an entrepreneur is someone that follows their passion. It has to be something that you love, because if you do not, I promise you it will not work out. It will not. It has to be something that you wake up and you're like, you know what, that is me and that's who I am. And I swear to you, it will hit you. You will know. It could be something that you just consider something that you just do every day, and it's a gift that you don't even know you have. And several people tell you about it, yet you're just used to it because that's who you are, right? And that's honestly how I found this to be my passion. People like Chrishon, you're great with people. You're always making people laugh and smile, and I've always been extremely social, and I've always been very well versed in food, and definitely end up being well versed in wines as well. But it has to be something you love, and once you find that, full swing ahead. Don't give me an excuse why you can't do it. Don't give me that. I can't stand that. I can't stand people saying they're waiting. They're waiting for this to happen, waiting for that to happen. Don't tell me that you're taking 6 months to write a business plan. Why aren't you starting marketing? Why aren't you marketing your brand right now? You can finish your business plan in mid-business. I started my business before the business plan was even done. It should be a working document. So don't tell me you're delaying waiting on something. No, you do it now. Don't tell me you have no money. I don't have any money either, but I still did it. So no excuses. When it's your passion, you go for it.
That's just like the line I said at the beginning of the show. What are you waiting for? Live life now. Don't wait until I have that car. Don't wait until I have this much in the. Just do it now, because this is not a dress rehearsal. You got to get it done.
It's not. I can't stand that. You got to get it done. You got to do it. Just go for it. I swear to you, it will make sense. It will make sense.
And this goes into the next question. What did your family say when you decided to take this leap, and what do they say now?
I always say family is a funny thing, and this is another, you know how you have the older people that always have their phrases and their statements. Exactly. Well, I'm one of those, right? So what mine is always know there's a difference between family and friends, supporters and fans, right? Mm-hmm. So you always expect your family to be there for you, and you're thinking, oh, you know what? They're going to buy tons of wine, and they're going to have cases of wine sitting in their house because they're my family, right? Probably only a handful bought some. And then there's also the supporters, right? You have the supporters that like everything you say on Facebook, and always there for you and coming to your events and things. They are needed because they're the ones that keep you going. You feel their energy. You know they support you. You know they're feeding off of you. You know they're doing something in their lives because you're motivating them. And then there's the fans, right? So those are the ones who are like popping up with pictures of the bottles, like Chrishon, I am at Mariano's right now. Here, I don't even know who you are. I've never seen you, but girl, you are doing it, and I love this wine. So that there's three different things. So you have to be able to accept each role for what they are and know that they play something significant. But I will tell you, recently, my mom. My mom and dad, actually, one thing that happened with my father is I was on the phone with him, and I told him I just landed a speaking engagement at a college. And he paused on the phone with me, and he said, Chrishon, I am so proud of you right now. And I have not heard that come out of his mouth since I graduated college. And that was probably one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And my mom, who said to me, Chrishon, whatever you need, she's like, I will help you buy, the barrels and pallets, whatever you need, I'm going to make it happen for you. So they have been amazing, and it's just been an awesome journey. Awesome journey.
Is there anything you would have done differently?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Every mistake that I make, and I still am making, I know leads me to something bigger and better. So I wouldn't do anything different. And I tell people, don't ever second guess yourself. Don't second guess the people in your life that come in and out of your life. And just keep it going. I just trust me that each failure does lead to something bigger. And I know you get sick of people telling you that and these old adages and these phrases, but until you actually live it, it sounds just like, you know, some gibberish. But I swear, every mistake I've made, and I've made several, and continue to make several mistakes, something amazing has come out of them. Just keep your heart in it, keep a good heart, a good spirit, and do right by people, and it will work out for you.
We just have some real quick questions that I like to cover with everyone. So what is your definition of success?
Success for me is knowing that and again, this is a phrase that I use, that I had touched at least one person. If I inspire one person to do something that they've always wanted to do, then I know I've done my job. I know I can leave the earth knowing that I did what I was supposed to do. And
you just had someone from the audience say you have inspired them.
Ah, thank you.
Ikeda Lockhart.
Oh, Ikeda. That's all. That's my journey. That's my journey of success. Is just to inspire people.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? Excuse me.
Don't take anything personal. Business is business. Business is business. You know, as much as I'm passionate about this, as much as I love the people I work with and deal with, at the end of the day, it's about business. When feelings start getting involved, that's when you start crossing. You know, I always say stay in your lane, right? So you start crossing that lane when feelings get involved. Stop that. Know how to cut off and on that switch. And that's what I do. You know, that may come off to a lot of people, you know, intimidating. A lot of people are intimidated, you know, by how I operate. But understand, I'm working in a male-dominated business. I may come off extremely A-type. Yeah, that's just me. But I always have your best interest at heart. Anybody who's dealing with business with me, always have your best interest at heart. But at the same time, business is business. And you know, until you really deal with people that are your friends in business, you really don't understand that statement. And I used to hear that all the time when I was growing up. Just with, you know, my father having to fire, you know, family members, you know, things like that just take place, that you really don't really appreciate that until you have something that you refuse to see fail. And you have to take personal away from that.
Okay, do you have a favorite quote or scripture?
Oh, you know, and actually, it was a friend of mine that said this. Now, as many quotes and scriptures as I post.
Right. Every day.
Right, every day. This would be the simplest one for me, and this got me through a lot of interesting situations, is you can't control the uncontrollables. That's simple. That's simple. Something you cannot control, you cannot sit and worry about. Because what do they say? Worry only creates situations that have not happened yet. So just that simple. You can't control uncontrollables.
Okay, these are really fast questions. They're blanks. You just fill them in real quickly with the first thing at the top of that you think of at the top of your head.
Oh gosh.
I believe in.
I believe in love.
The world needs.
A great woman.
Love is.
Sexy.
Branding is.
Powerful.
My job is.
Cool.
Please let everyone know how they can reach you, as well as purchase Love Cork Screw and Lampley cigars.
Literally everything is on my website. I always tell everybody my website is probably one of the easiest, fun, navigated websites out there. So just go to lovecorkscrew.com. Of course, follow me on social media as well. Everything's Love Corkscrew. Love Corkscrew on Instagram, Love Corkscrew on Facebook. 3 separate words. Love Corkscrew. You can always email me as well, just Chrishon@lovecorkscrew.com.
Thank you, Chrishon, for sharing your story with us this evening. Thank you, everyone, for watching and for asking questions. This show is here to motivate and inspire you to live the life you deserve. You can now hear every episode of the show on iTunes via podcast. So if you search Ask Dr. Renee, and that's ASK space DR period, RENEE, you can subscribe to my podcast. And, of course, you can reach me at Ask Dr. Renee on all social media platforms. I hope tonight that we have motivated, inspired at least one person to please follow your dreams, go after your passion. Even if you think your dream sounds completely crazy, or if you told someone and they think it's crazy, please follow your dreams. If you have anybody else that you think that I should interview because their story inspires or motivates you, please let me know. Like I said, you can reach me on all those platforms and follow me, tweet me, like me, all that good stuff. And I look forward to seeing you next week when we'll have Sonia Jackson Miles. She is going to talk to us about how she developed the Sister Accord, which is an amazing organization that's worldwide, and how she quit corporate America to follow her passion. So you will not want to miss that episode. Same time, same place. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Cheers.